Hello, students, and welcome to our January 5th lesson. Today we're continuing our exploration of exponents. So let's start by just reviewing what we're going to cover today so we know what's ahead of us. For our do now, we will carefully respond to a prompt about recalibrating our goals. What does recalibrate mean? It means to kind of retool our instrument or take another analytical look at something and see if it needs a little adjustment. Remember, we're not actually making any goals yet. We're thinking about goals and resolutions, and we'll work up to actually making some goals in a few more days. Our objective today is to continue working with exponents, and our essential question asks, what math language do we use to describe exponents? And we'll have some practice with that. And we also will talk about the difference between exponential form and standard form of an expression or value. We will watch this video today and complete a table. So today we have a table on exponents. And I love tables because they are a quick visual way for us to compare different things. We can compare them and see how they are alike. We can see how they are different. So let's make sure today that you understand the difference between expanded form, exponential form, and standard form. So that is our exit for today. We will look at these three forms, the expanded form, the exponential form, and standard form of a number. And as always, it's important to show your work to the teacher. That way I know that you're working very hard. For homework, if you don't get finished this lesson, please just finish it up for homework. Remember, let's turn those cameras on, especially during our initial discussion. We always have a good time with those do now discussions. Remember, if I call your name, I may say good morning, good afternoon, or I just want to see how you're doing. But please respond, and that could happen at the beginning, middle, or end of the period. And you can show your work on camera, or you can send me a photo, whichever is easiest for you. So tomorrow, Wednesday, January 6th, is a school holiday, Three Kings Day. So we don't have to dial into Teams. We don't have to do anything. If I forgot to cancel our meetings, just ignore them on your calendar. Tomorrow is a holiday. So continuing with our New Year's thoughts, we have a do now to begin with for math today. At the end of the period, we'll complete our exit ticket. And we have one page, this table that I referred you to earlier that we will complete. So let's take a look at this do now, this beautiful Happy New Year do now. What time is it? It's time to do your best work. So sometimes reaching a goal can be more difficult than anticipated. Anticipated means what you thought ahead. So the goal must be recalibrated, or we need to rethink that goal. And the expectation that we had for ourselves must be adjusted. So sometimes the goal is harder than we thought it would be. So we need to kind of readjust our goal to something that we can, maybe a little easier, to something that we can reach better. And my question for you is this failure or progress? And a lot of you might think, well, yeah, I didn't reach my goal. That's a failure, Mrs. Gold. Well, let's think about that in the context of what I talked about yesterday, my weight loss goal. So maybe I won't lose 10 pounds by Valentine's Day or by the first day of spring. But does that mean that I give up? Is it failure? Let's think about that. What if I lose 5 pounds? Well, that can't be a failure because I still lost weight, even though it's only 5 pounds. I mean, you would be the first one to tell me, Mrs. Gold, at least you lost 5 pounds. Pat yourself on the back. Don't beat yourself up about that. Well, it's the same way with all of our goals, students. Maybe you didn't get yourself up to an A in all your classes, but you weren't, maybe you had a D, or even worse, maybe you had an F in something, but you got the F up to a D or a C, or the D you got up to a C. Hey, guys, you're moving in the right direction. Love yourself for that, okay? not achieving every single goal is not failure as long as you're going in the right direction. So that's the place we want to be. We want to love ourselves enough to celebrate every achievement and be thankful for the progress we make, even if we have to readjust our goal and bring it down a little bit. That's okay. That's okay, guys. Just keep getting better every day. So we're going to skip the exit ticket for now. Let's get into our math. So remember, we talked about exponents, and if we have an exponent, let's say of 2 to the third, let's not write here. Let's write on our beautiful whiteboard paper. So if we have an exponent of, say, 2 to the third, what that means, that's our exponential form. That means that the 2 is the base, and the 3 is the exponent. And what does the exponent mean? The exponent means the number of times the base is multiplied. And it's not multiplied by the exponent, it's multiplied by itself. So we call this, when we write something like this, 2 to the third, we call that the exponential form. But we can also do something called expanded form. An expanded form actually visually shows us exactly what is happening with the exponent. So the expanded form of 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 times 2. Remember, an exponent is repeated multiplication, not repeated addition. Multiplication is repeated addition. An exponent is repeated multiplication. So the expanded form would be 2 times 2 times 2. Well, then we also have something called the standard form. And the standard form is where we evaluate. You could call this simplify, or we could call it find the value of. Well, what is 2 times 2 times 2? Well, 2 times 2 is 4, and then we have 4 times 2, which is 8. So 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. And that is standard form. So we have exponential form, which is when we write the base with an exponent, in this case, 2 to the third. We have expanded form, and we have the standard form. So here is our exponential form, the expanded form, and the standard form where we evaluate the number. So let's get started with some of our problems. And here we have 6 squared. Students, whenever we see the word squared, that means we're raising it to the second power. And that would be a power of 2. So 6 squared would be 6 times 6. 6 multiplied by itself. The exponential form would be 6 to the second power. And the standard form, well, that would be 6 times 6, which gives us 36. So let's try that with some other values. Let's see, the next one, they start out by giving us expanded form. We're going to call that, when we have something to the third power, we can call that 9 cubed. Or we can also say 9 to the third power. Okay, because we have 3 9s being multiplied together. Now the exponential form would be this 9 to the third power. And if we multiplied 9 times 9 is 81, 81 times 9 is 729. You will need a calculator for some of these. You can use an on-screen calculator. So let's look at the next one here. We have 4 to the 4th power. That's the exponential form. Let's use words first. So in fact, let's change our color. So this would be 4 to the 4th power. And in expanded form, that would be 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. 64 times 4 is 256, and that is the standard form. So let's look at the next one, the next item, 2 to the 5th power. So that would be, in exponential form, a base of 2 and an exponent of 5. And in expanded form, that would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16, and 16 times 2 is 32. And that finishes that one. The next one, I see this 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 3 to the 4th power, and I'll write that out. And 3 to the 4th power is 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 3 is 81. Let's move on to the next one, this one here. We have 8 to the 3rd power. So we can call that 8 cubed. Let's not use numbers, let's use words like they asked. 8 cubed, we can also call that 8 to the 3rd power. And that would be 8 times 8 times 8 in expanded form. 8 times 8 is 64. 64 times 8 is 512. Let's move on to the next one. 3 squared plus 2 squared. So now we have an operation in there. So 3 squared is 3 times 3, or we write it like this, 3 squared, plus 2 squared, which is 2 to the 2nd power. Now let's evaluate that so that we can write it in standard form. 3 squared is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. And 2 squared, 2 times 2 is 4. 9 plus 4 equals 13. Let's go on to the next one. Again, we have another operation. We're adding. So we have 2 to the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th power. 2 to the 4th power plus 4 to the 2nd power. So let's write that out. 2 to the 4th power plus 4, F-O-U-R, to the 2nd power. And you could also say 4 squared. So 2 to the 4th power is 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is, let me see, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. So we have 16 plus 4 times 4 is 16. So 16 plus 16 equals 32. Okay, the next one is 6 squared plus 3 cubed. And remember, squared is a power of 2. And 3 cubed is a power of 3. So 6 squared would be 6 times 6 plus 3 cubed, which would be 3 times 3 times 3. And in exponential form, we would write that 6 squared plus 3 squared. And 6 times 6 is 36. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. And 36 plus 27 equal 63. And then our last problem today, 5 times 5 times 5 plus 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. So that would be 5 to the 3rd power plus 4 to the 4th power. Let's use those words. So let's write that in exponential form. 5 to the 3rd power plus 4 to the 4th power. So 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5 is 125. Plus 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 equals 256. And 125 plus 256 equals 381. So there you have it. Words, expanded form, exponential form, and then standard form, which is the standard form is the fully evaluated form of the number. So let's go to our exit ticket. The expanded form of an exponent shows the repeated multiplication of a number. The exponential form of a number means showing the base and the exponent. And the standard form of a number is fully simplified or evaluated. And that's standard notation. So don't forget, folks, please show me your work as you work. Please keep practicing. Please think very carefully about what these mean. And I don't want to see anybody make the mistake of repeated addition. It's repeated multiplication. The base is multiplied by the number of times as the exponent. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And 3 to the 4th power equals 81. So I know this is still a little bit new, but I also know that you guys work hard and you practice. And you know that if you practice and keep working hard, you'll be great.